I'm Joe Bates and I'm here to tell you why you shouldn't learn history. They say those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it. Now, I studied history from the ages of 11 to 18 in the UK. When it comes to history in the UK, you study two things. The first is Henry VIII. The clear lesson from history when it comes to Henry VIII is that royal family members shouldn't kill their wives because it creates a lot of problems down the line. I took that fully on board, but then came Prince Charles, now King Charles. Now, I'm not saying he was definitely involved in the killing of Diana, but he was. And even though I knew that was wrong because of all the history that I'd learned, I couldn't do anything to stop it because I was 11 years old and held very little sway with the royal family. In that case, not only did history repeat itself in a much more boring way. Henry VIII killed his wives in quite an entertaining fashion and left behind a cool poem for us to be able to remember his wives. Whereas with Charles, it's barely even a poem. It doesn't even rhyme. In the UK, after a few years learning about the fun deaths that Henry VIII did, you're then ready to learn about the second thing, which is the sad deaths of the Holocaust. The main lesson from the Holocaust being, don't do genocide. 25 years after I learned about the Holocaust, I finally had a chance to put my history learning into action. This was October last year when, after the Hamas attacks, the Israeli government started killing thousands of Palestinian civilians, describing them as animals, saying none of them are innocent, and so on. I thought, get in, finally a chance to use my history knowledge to point out that some of it feels similar to the genocide that I'd learned about in school, and even if it's not exactly the same, we should probably try and stop it. And the other history buffs, like those geeks at the International Courts of Justice, have been smugly pointing this out ever since. But it's still happening anyway. Like, maybe the Western politicians and journalists dropped history at A-level and they don't want to listen to people like me because no one likes a nerd. What this experience has made me realise is that yes, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, but those who do know history are doomed to repeat it as well. When you're learning history, it's pretty much the same as just finding out a load of spoilers. So my advice is to ditch history, so when history does repeat itself, at least it'll be a surprise.